At the height of hurricane season, over $5 billion in fighter jets can be left exposed on the open decks of United States Navy supercarriers, each plane worth more than most private islands. One snapped chain can launch a 32,000-pound jet into the sea, as it did when an F/A-18 vanished in seconds. So how does the Navy actually protect its billion-dollar arsenal from Category 5 storms that can strike with just hours of warning? The answer rewrites what you think you know about military preparedness. A single F/A-18 Super Hornet sitting on the deck of a U.S. Navy carrier carries a price tag of around $70 million. But it is never just one jet. During any given deployment, a supercarrier can hold between 64 and 80 aircraft, fighters, electronic warfare planes, and surveillance jets, all lined up on a steel surface longer than 3 football fields. The total value of hardware exposed tops $5 billion, more than the annual budget of some small nations. This massive investment faces its greatest threat every year between June and November, when hurricane season sweeps across the Atlantic. Category 5 storms with sustained winds of 157 miles per hour or more can appear with little warning. In these conditions, even the largest warship in the world is not immune. The U.S. Navy operates 11 nuclear-powered supercarriers, each a floating city. Nimitz-class carriers cost about $8.5 billion apiece, while the newer Gerald R. Ford class comes in at $13.3 billion. These vessels are designed for combat, but when a hurricane closes in, the fight is about survival, not firepower. The flight deck, stretching nearly 1,100 feet, becomes a liability when winds start to howl. Aircraft parked in tight formation with wings folded become vulnerable targets for the relentless force of a storm. A single mistake, a loose chain, or a missed fitting can send a 32,000-pound jet sliding or even airborne, as the 2022 loss from the USS Harry S. Truman proved. With so much at stake, every hurricane warning triggers a race against the clock. Crews scramble to secure billions in equipment before the first gusts arrive. There is no margin for error. The Navy's procedures are built on the hard math of loss. One snap chain can mean a $70 million jet gone in seconds. Multiply that risk by dozens of aircraft and the urgency becomes clear. The threat is not theoretical. It is a calculation made real by the Atlantic's most violent storms bearing down on a fleet that has no safe harbor at sea. Protecting this arsenal demands more than hope. It requires a system engineered to withstand nature's worst every single season. Yellow shirts, flight deck directors, move with urgency, signaling teams through the roar of wind and jet engines. Blue shirts, aviation bosun's mates, haul steel chains by the armload. Each chain weighs 15 pounds, and every jet on deck must be locked down with no fewer than 12, sometimes 14, before the first bands of the storm arrive. Every chain is hooked to a deck fitting, each engineered to withstand up to 16,000 pounds of vertical force, triple the standard for calmer seas. The system leaves little room for error, but it is built on hard lessons. On a pitching deck, a missed fitting or a slack chain can mean disaster. Training for these moments begins long before hurricane season. Every spring, carriers run through hurricane exercise, HUREX, where crews practice the full storm protocol. Aircraft canopies are latched, loose gear stowed, and every tie-down point is checked by hand. The hangar bay, stretching 685 feet, is divided by sliding steel fire doors into 4 reinforced zones. Up to 60 jets can be shielded here, but only if they are moved quickly enough. Deck edge elevators become the lifeline. Each can lift 2 74,000-pound jets at a time, cycling up and down non-stop as priority aircraft are shuttled below. The F-35C, with its $100 million price tag and sensitive electronics, always gets top billing. There is a hard cutoff. When winds hit 40 knots, elevator operations must stop. Anything left topside must ride out the storm under triple chains, exposed to the elements. Every move is coordinated in real time. Yellow shirts direct the choreography, blue shirts muscle chains into place, and officers track progress on digital boards. The process is exhausting. One blue shirt might handle over 100 pounds of steel in a single shift, on a deck that is never still. Even with every precaution, the memory of jets lost to the sea keeps the pressure high. On deck, the human element is the last line of defense, racing against nature's clock to secure billions of dollars in hardware before the storm makes its final approach. When hurricane winds threaten a carrier at sea, the ship itself becomes the first and last line of defense. The bridge team orders the bow turned directly into the wind, a maneuver that aligns the ship's massive hull with the force of the storm. This isn't just tradition, it's doctrine, refined through decades of hard experience. Heading into the wind reduces the side-to-side rolling that can snap chains or send jets sliding across the deck. With the bow facing the storm, the carrier absorbs the energy head-on, lowering the risk to both aircraft and crew. Twin nuclear reactors deep within the hull deliver more than raw speed. They provide endurance. Carriers can maintain over 30 knots for as long as needed, outrunning or bracing for the worst of the weather without ever worrying about fuel. This power allows the ship to keep its nose pointed into the storm, even as waves climb higher and winds howl. The 100,000-ton displacement gives the vessel a self-righting ability. Even in extreme rolls, the center of gravity and buoyancy work together to pull the ship upright. The hull's flared design and wide beam add to this stability, dispersing wave impact and keeping the flight deck above the worst of the spray. Not everyone agrees on the best technology for the job. Some engineers argue for active stabilizers or gyroscopic systems to further reduce roll. But the Navy relies on proven passive design, hull shape, ballast, and speed. Reliability matters more than novelty when billions of dollars and hundreds of lives ride out every storm at sea. Inside a hurricane's reach, the fate of billions in Navy aircraft can hinge on a single missed detail. In July 2022, that risk became real when a 32,000-pound FA-18 was swept from the deck of the USS Harry S. Truman and vanished into 9,500 feet of Mediterranean Sea. One failed securing point, one gap in the chain of communication, sometimes that is all it takes. The aftermath triggered a new round of reforms, but the lesson is as old as carrier aviation itself. Nature does not forgive mistakes. No carrier faces these storms alone. High above the churning Atlantic, U.S. Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter crews fly WC-130J, Super Hercules aircraft straight into the heart of Category 5 systems. In 2025 alone, these teams logged 927.9 hours inside some of the world's fiercest storms, dropping sensors and relaying wind, pressure, and trajectory data back to the fleet. Their reports shape every decision, from when to start moving jets below deck to which course the carrier will steer. Without this real-time intelligence, even the best trained crew is flying blind. Disaster has always been the teacher. Typhoon Cobra in December 1944 killed 790 sailors and destroyed 146 aircraft across the Pacific Fleet. The chaos and loss forced the Navy to overhaul forecasting, tie down protocols, and ship design. Today, those lessons echo in every drill, every checklist, every reinforced fitting welded to the deck. When the storm finally passes, the work is not over. Crews inspect every tie down, every catapult, every wire for corrosion and stress. The payoff? In over 60 years, not a single U.S. supercarrier has been lost to weather. The system is not perfect, but it is relentless, layer upon layer of defense, tested by tragedy, refined by experience, and measured by a record that speaks for itself. Every hurricane season, billions in technology and lives hinge on relentless vigilance, not luck. As storms intensify worldwide, these carrier protocols aren't just military procedure. They are a frontline defense for national power. The margin for error narrows each year. In the face of nature, preparation is everything.